Resident Evil. When you think of the title, you think about survival horror games. It is the dominant survival horror series that's been around since the mid-1990s. The original PlayStation game, of course, contains some of the worst voice acting ever in a video game. Purposely so, I think. There's also some cheesy FMV, but I appreciate that kind of thing. Back in that particular era, full motion video is still a pretty big deal. Being able to stream movies on a CD or from a CD was a pretty big deal. For me, Resident Evil never really clicked. It never really resonated because I'm an arcade game player at heart. I'm used to killing everything on the screen, whether it's shooting at it or hacking and slashing at it. That's just the way that I play. I don't deal with item management. I don't deal with puzzles that slow down the pace of the game. I'm used to things being very fast-paced, and that's not what Resident Evil is. It is a horror game. It is slow sometimes and action-paced at others, and while it does resonate with horror fans, I have a very difficult time with it. I recently picked up Resident Evil 2, the remake for the Xbox One X, and it is a gorgeous game, or at least it looks great. But I'm still getting used to the whole item management thing and some of the combat in the game. I didn't always struggle with Resident Evil games, however, because there was a game called Resident Evil Survivor for the PlayStation, which made it more arcade-feely or feeling, where you were using a light gun, or because they stripped the light gun capability out for North America, you had an on-screen reticle that you would move around, and you would shoot zombies that way. So it felt like an arcade game, and I liked that a lot, even though reviewers didn't like it very much, and even though the Angry Video Game Nerd completely destroyed it last Halloween. It is a game that I enjoy quite a bit, and I still go back to from time to time. It has that Resident Evil atmosphere to it in some of the characters and settings, but at the same time, the gameplay is much more accessible for a person like me. And then in 2007, for the Wii, we got this guy right here. This is Resident Evil: The Umbrella Chronicles, which was released in November of 2007 for the Wii. This uses the Wii Remote or Wiimote as a light gun, much like I was talking about in my video that opened up Ghost Squad and House of the Dead 2 and 3. It's the same kind of thing where you're using your Wii Remote as a pointer or as a gun barrel and you're shooting zombies that way. And it makes the game more accessible for me while enabling me to enjoy the Resident Evil universe in a way that I would otherwise struggle to do so. So, as we take a look at the back of the case, it says, "Reimagine life in our hands." That's what is here. Now, I don't know a lot about the Resident Evil mythos, so maybe if we look in the instruction manual, I'll know a little bit more about the time frame. And I'm sure those of you watching this video, you'll probably be able to tell me right off the top. Swarms of undead creatures and mutated terrors rule the streets, pestilent hordes born of Umbrella's botched bio-warfare research. Now the mysterious corporation must prepare itself for the oncoming apocalypse. You have no choice. Gather your firepower, prepare to face horror, and uncover the dark truth that could take Umbrella down forever. Succeed, or there is no future. Wow, sounds foreboding. Wii Remote. Using the Wii Remote as a gun, experience combat in dynamic first-person perspective. So we have Resident Evil in a first-person perspective, much like we saw in Resident Evil Survivor. The Wii Zapper, which is that plastic casing you could get that felt a little bit like a rifle. The Wii Zapper allows for more immersive light gun action. You could also attach your nunchuck to it for better movement. Interactive paths. Choose various routes and pathways through the game, creating multiple levels of gameplay or multiple layers of gameplay. And I haven't played this very much, so I can't speak to that yet. We'll look in the instruction manual. New location. Umbrella's stronghold reveals secrets to events throughout the Resident Evil series. That's pretty cool, right? An arsenal of weapons to choose from. Pistols, submachine guns, rocket launchers, the trusty knife, grenades, and more. This is a two-player game, by the way, so you can play with a friend on the same screen if you so desire. Of course, myself with the GX TV and that very small screen, you're lucky to be playing on your own, let alone try and split that screen in half to play with two players. Let's go ahead and open this up for the first time, and then we'll take a look at the instruction manual therein. And we'll do that right here. By the way, it is 12 o'clock here on the East Coast, so it is now October 31st. So happy Halloween to one and all. Whether you're trick-or-treating yourself or taking kids or family out, make sure you stay safe this Halloween. As we open up the case, Oh, the disc came out, so we're going to fix that. There we go. Inside the case, we have the instruction manual and the rather ominous-looking gray and white disc with the Resident Evil title on it. When we take the manual out, let's see if this is in color. I'm kind of hoping it is. And it is. And how cool is this? This looks awesome. Take a look at that. I love seeing manuals in color. So this takes us back to Resident Evil 0. So this is 1998, July 98 in Raccoon City. What other levels do we have? We have Resident Evil. Resident Evil 3 is represented. And that looks like that's it. So 0, the first game, and 3. Those are the ones that are represented here in the game. So this is more what the game looks like here. I want to see what they say here. This is what the controls look like. You'd use both the nunchuck and the Wii remote. I don't think you can use just the remote. Let me see. No, you can't. You need to have the nunchuck, it looks like, for it. This does have progressive scan for what it's worth. So if you have a progressive television set and you have a Wii, you can certainly use it for that, which is pretty darn cool, I think. So it's neat to visit different parts of the Resident Evil universe within the game. I have not played Resident Evil 0 very much. I've seen some on Resident Evil, and then Resident Evil 3. A lot of people think that it's one of the best games in the series. So that's kind of cool that that is included. They have a list of weapons and items here that you can take a look at. Let's see if there's any. There's a results screen, so that's very arcade style, I think. 2-player simultaneous play is also possible. And I think that this is just a neat way to get into Resident Evil if you're someone like me that struggles a bit with the way that the Resident Evil games play traditionally. And that's what really draws me to it. Light gun games have always been a favorite of mine, and I talked about that in the video with Ghost Squad and House of the Dead 2 and 3. I love House of the Dead 2 and 3. Those are a lot of fun to play because I played them in arcades. And being the arcade player that I am, that resonates with me rather deeply. So this was from 2007. So in November, this will turn 12 years old. My goodness gracious. That's a long time ago. Now, there was another one of these games that came out in 2009, right at almost 2 years later exactly. This was also in November from 2009, and this is Resident Evil, The Dark Side Chronicles right here. We're going to take a look at that. Let your dark side out is what the back of the case promises. And again, we can use either the Wii Zapper or the Wii Remote and Nunchuck. It is up to you. The year is 2002. U.S. government agents Leon S. Kennedy and Jack Krauser are sent to South America to investigate the disappearance of young girls and rumors of a mysterious viral outbreak. The events that unfold will recall a dark journey into the past where the betrayals and horrors of Resident Evil 2 and Code Veronica come full circle. Can memories of the past help stop the biological terror that has resurfaced to threaten the future of mankind once again? So we had Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil, and Resident Evil 3 in Umbrella Chronicles, and now in Dark Side Chronicles we have 2 in Code Veronica. So you cover 5 games, it looks like, in the span of 2 discs, so I think that's pretty neat. Battle hordes of enemies alone or with friends in co-op mode. Use the Wii Zapper to fend off the onslaught of the undead, and pure horror fun brought to life with gripping cinematic camera styles. So that's pretty cool too. Let's go ahead and open this up. And we'll take a look and see what's on the inside. I have a sneaking suspicion that this manual isn't going to be in color, but maybe I'm going to be wrong. We will see. Of course, I got to try and get this open first. There we go. Dolby Pro Logic 2. That's kind of nice. All right, when we take a look on the inside, oh, that's pretty cool looking. I love that disc art, even though it's the same as the manual. This is what we've got on the inside. And just like the last time, we're going to go ahead and take the manual out. And we're going to take a look and see. It is in color. Oh, I'm glad I was wrong about that. And this is an even cooler looking manual. They have the different font sizes, and they're telling us the basics of the stories here. Leon and Jack are featured. We also have Claire and Steve right there. So just like the last game, easy, designed for beginners. I know what I'm going to be playing when I try this. This is fantastic. Now this also has, and I don't know if you noticed it when I was showing the game on screen here. This had the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. So I think this might have been for leaderboards. I don't think, yeah, it's for rankings. You didn't play online with people. You just kind of compared your scores. This feels very much like the first game. The results are similar. The way that the game is played is similar. It's just that the backgrounds and the stories are going to be a bit different. Yeah, this is really, really cool. Again, we'll take a look at the inside of the manual. I don't have very many stories to share with you with these games because while I did own them when I first had my Wii, I never really got around to playing them. Right around this time, between 2008, 2009, 2010, my focus had really shifted away from the Wii, and I was using my PS3 and then later my Xbox 360. And unfortunately, aside from the virtual console games for the Wii, I had kind of left it behind. I really didn't develop the sincere appreciation for the Wii that I have now until I got another one while I was working for GameStop, and I believe it was 2015-ish, somewhere around there. So now that I have the system again and I'm looking at the system overall, not just the virtual console games, but just the games themselves, it has been a fantastic trip back through time, and I'm having an appreciation for the system that I just didn't have back when it was new. And I think in my journey of collecting, whether it's been for the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, the PlayStation, the PS2, games that I've covered for this show and others, being able to look back and gain a newfound appreciation for these things, the thing that I keep in mind is that I kind of wish I had that appreciation back then when they were brand new, but you don't think that deeply. It's just a game that you're buying because people are talking about it in such a positive manner, or you read great reviews either in video game magazines or online. So you go out, you buy it, you enjoy it for what it is, and you kind of put it down, you move on to the next thing. It's not until years later, or sometimes even decades later, where the light bulb goes off over your head and you realize that certain games, they're just really special for some reason or another. And hopefully when I go back and I play these games, I will maybe attain a higher level of personal appreciation for Resident Evil between these games and then trying to make my way through Resident Evil 2, or at least that's kind of what I'm hoping for. If you've played these Resident Evil light gun games, I'd love to hear from you. I know that opinions are split as to whether you think that they're any good or not. Myself, I think that it's a fascinating way to play through them, and it's more accessible. But maybe you disagree, so feel free to leave your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. As always, I do appreciate you taking the time to watch these episodes of the show. I'm going to continue to make them. I have more exciting games, as you can see on the table behind me, so more episodes will be coming. But until the next time, my friends, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.